Good evening and welcome to tonight's Southbridge Town Council meeting. It is August 24th, just after 7 p.m., and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Councilor Eau Claire?
Present.
Councilor Crosco?
Present.
Councilor Clemens?
Present.
Councilor Estrada?
Present.
Councilor Manna?
Present.
Councilor Moriarty?
Present.
Councilor Steves?
Present.
Councilor Vandal?
Present.
Councilor Vecchia?
Present.
9 here.
Thank you. We have a quorum. Agenda item number 3 is to consider and accept the Town Council meeting minutes of Monday, August 10, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any questions, clarifications? Councilor Manna?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll be abstaining from this as I was not here for the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions, corrections? Seeing none, simple hand vote is fine. All those in favor? And abstaining? Thank you. Agenda item number 4, subcommittee reports. General Government, Councilor Carrasco.
No minutes, no meeting scheduled.
Thank you. DPW, Councilor Vandal.
No meeting, no report, no meeting scheduled. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Education and Human Services, Councilor Steves.
No minutes to report, but however, I'm going to set something up for next week.
Thank you. Planning and Development, Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. There was a meeting held this past Tuesday, last Tuesday, I believe, and I do not have those minutes. I would like to thank Vice Chairman Carrasco for chairing that meeting for me as I was ill. I do not have any other meetings planned at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, Protection of Persons and Property, Councilor Vecchia.
Thank you. No minutes, no meeting scheduled.
Thank you. Agenda item number 5 is Chairman's announcements. I have a few. One is that the DPW facility on Gulfwood Road is set to close on Friday, August 28th from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. For electrical repairs to the main power feed. And as a result of not having power, the phones will be down at that facility. So any water system associated questions or issues should be directed to the filter plant at 508-765-3875, and water operations will be covered from the filtration plants. We have also, in a couple weeks, we will have 2 joint meetings before the next council meeting to fill some appointments for elected positions that have since had resignations. The first of which, we are looking for citizens who are interested in serving on the Board of Assessors. We have a vacancy that is set to expire June 30th. The deadline to submit for that would be September 9th, 2015 at 3 p.m. No electronic submissions will be accepted. If you're interested, contact the manager's office. And also on the school committee, we also have a vacancy due to resignation. Again, that term would be set to expire in June, on June 30th, and the deadline to submit will also be at September 9th at 3 p.m. Same rules apply. No electronic submissions will be accepted. For those appointments, there will be a joint council and Board of Assessors meeting at 6 p.m. on Monday, September 14th, here in council chambers, and that will be to fill that first spot on the Board of Assessors. And then at 6:30 or immediately following that meeting with the assessors, there will be a joint meeting with the school committee to do the same to fill Ms. Quinney's post. At that point, the regular council meeting will start at 7 o'clock or immediately following that joint meeting. Also, regarding the school department is looking for feedback from parents and those vested in the schools in regards to the superintendent search. They're using a survey through a company called SurveyMonkey. And if you reach out to the school department, they can get you that link for that. And then lastly, pursuant to the town charter, every so often, after we complete the bylaw review committee, which we will have a presentation on tonight, the charter review, we then begin the bylaw review. So if you are interested in serving as one of the 5 members on that committee, let the town manager's office know so they can start soliciting those candidates, and we can start working on that once the charter piece is taken care of. And with that, we move to agenda item number 6, and to introduce his first meeting here, frying pan here is Mr. Ron Sanangelo, our new town manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I'm very happy to be part of this great team. And I got to tell you, I'm very impressed in my first week at work here on just what great staff we have here in the building, particularly department heads. A lot of the employees I've had a chance to meet with, and I really feel we have a great future and we can accomplish a lot. One of the things that I wanted to mention to you, Mr. Chairman, and the board, is that I would like to start very shortly with a new television show to inform the people of Southbridge of what's happening in town. The name of the show will be Celebrating Southbridge. It will be a public access show, and I'll be bringing in guests of all different types, the police chief, fire chief, street superintendent or DPW superintendent, all the different departments in town so that citizens can hear a little bit about what's going on in our town departments. I will have council members on as well. And the purpose of this is to open up dialogue back and forth between the community and the town manager's office, and to do everything I can to let you know the great benefits that we offer the citizens of Southbridge. So that will be starting soon. I look forward to working with each of you on that project. As you know, Mr. Chairman, I've been meeting with all kinds of people over the last couple of weeks and have had to bring myself up to speed on the landfill issue, on solar panels, on the budget, meeting and learning about our town police department and fire department, economic development coordinator. We're already starting to put things together and start developing plans for the future. So I think this town has a tremendous amount of upside. There's a lot of great things we can accomplish if we all work together, Mr. Chairman. Again, thank you for inviting me to be part of this team. I look forward to working with each and every one of you. That's it, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item number 7, swearing in and presentations. We have 3 scheduled for tonight, the first of which is an update on 80 Marcy Street, the former Mary E. Wells Middle School, and that would be presented by Mr. Richard Relic of Arch Street Development. I'm not seeing anybody jump up, so I'm assuming Mr. Relic is not here. If he does arrive, we'll pencil him back in. We also have from the Home Rule Charter Committee, the members of that, and I believe everybody from that entire committee is here, but the chairperson of that committee, Catherine Nicola, will be leading the presentation to update us on their work over the last several months.
Good evening, everybody. Mr. Town Manager, councilors, citizens, thank you for having us. And before I start, I'd like to thank my fellow committee members who worked very hard on this and diligently. That would be Mr. Jim Sutilli, Madeline Bonadias, Holly Christo, and Yvonne Tortis. We were charged with working on making recommendations, if necessary, any tweaking or anything like that that needed to be done with the charter. And we decided from the beginning that our main goal was to make sure that what we did would coincide with what's been done with the bylaws, so that there would be no hypocrisy there. There are a few changes. I believe you all received in your packet those changes. I'd like to go over some of them with you. And because it's me, I'm even going to correct some of those changes this evening because we found a few discrepancies. Basically, the first thing that we did was you had a couple of English majors on this committee, so we straightened out some of the areas that required capitalization. If you are an officer, your title should be capitalized, so you will see some changes in that. And that's just basic housekeeping. So we did that. Then we moved on to Section 1 in General Provisions, which is page 56. And we cleaned up the language, and then it just said, any elected or appointed member of a quasi-judicial board. And we felt it was important to name the quasi-judicial boards. That would be the Zoning Board of Appeals, the Conservation Commission, the Board of Health, the Liquor Licensing Board, the Planning Board, and Special Permit Granting Authority. And it finishes by saying those boards shall be limited to one such board and ineligible to serve on any other such quasi-judicial board during that member's term. So that was one change. In Chapter 4, Town Manager, Section 3, Power to appoint town boards and commissions, this would be page 10. The town manager shall have the power to appoint, subject to confirmation by the town council, the following town boards and commissions: constables, commissioners of trust funds, and World War I memorial trustees was deleted as we did the research, and there hasn't been a board for the World War I memorial trustees in anyone's recent or way out there memory, so we removed that. Chapter 6, the Department of Public Works. Section 1, Establishment, page 12, Section 6-1-3. There shall be a Director of Public Works appointed for a 3-year term by the town manager, subject to confirmation by the town council. The director shall report directly to the town manager. And we deleted who shall be in charge of the Public Works Department. That's redundant. The director shall be a Massachusetts licensed professional engineer. The town manager shall appoint, subject to confirmation, the town council, a director for the Department of Public Works. Each one of our changes, so I make this clear, was unanimously voted by this committee. There was no dissension in any of our very, very few changes. And in this one, our thinking was simply, I happen to know, being on the selection committee for the Public Works Department director, it is very difficult to bring up a pool of candidates when you limit how you're looking for a DPW director. Very, very, very few towns and cities in our Commonwealth have a DPW director who is also a licensed professional engineer. That limits the people that will actually apply for this position. And we felt that because a professional engineer is not needed on a daily basis, that is something that the DPW director can certainly bring forward a professional engineer to stamp anything. But it should not necessarily be a requirement of your DPW director. So we struck that. Section 6-1-4, said director may be removed in the same manner as other department heads as provided by this charter. And again, we deleted the director shall be appointed by the town manager for a 3-year term and shall hold office until his or her successor is appointed. The director shall report directly to the town manager. Again, it's redundant, so we removed it. Chapter 7 is the town attorney. The first paragraph is basically, as I say, housekeeping, where we corrected the town manager, that's capital T and a capital M, and so on and so forth. But the second paragraph, no town office or agency shall, unless specifically authorized to do so by the town manager, employ, advise, and here I made a correction, which we should have made and we missed. Shall employ, advise with, or consult any attorney or counselor at law. Please strike any other, the word other, and strike after counselor at law, other than the town attorney, with regard to its duties or to any town business. Whenever it is determined that the services of legal specialists are required, necessary, or desirable, the town manager shall, after consultation with the town attorney and the office or agency involved, designate such special counsel. The key to that is simply this. Nobody in this community spends town money without getting permission to do so. And that includes the town attorney. And that includes the town council. You need to get the manager's approval before you enlist the services of any of the attorneys at your disposal, including the town attorney. So we corrected that. And then the next little sentence is just
Could you read back that with the changes now?
Absolutely. No town office or agency shall, unless specifically authorized to do so by the town manager, employ, advise with, or consult any, scratch other, leave in attorney or counselor at law, comma, scratch other than the town attorney. That you can't contact him without getting permission from the town manager. And then the rest stands.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Chapter 9, licensing. Section 1, liquor licensing board. We removed something, we're going to put it back in. The first paragraph, there shall be a liquor licensing board appointed by the town manager, subject to the confirmation by the town council. That particular sentence, we lifted from the bylaws. So it refers to the charter, when in fact, we're in the charter. So, put back, removed. There shall be a liquor licensing board established in accordance with the laws of the Commonwealth, provided, however, the town manager is authorized to appoint 3 members to said board, subject to the approval of the town council. Provided further, the town manager shall appoint 1 alternate member, subject to the approval of the town council, and said alternate member shall be appointed without regard to party enrollment. Provided further, the 3-member board shall designate their chairperson and vice chairperson. All members so appointed shall have been residents of the town of Southbridge for at least 2 years immediately preceding such appointment, and shall serve for terms of 3 years each, so arranged that the term of 1 member shall expire each year. The alternate member shall sit on the board at the designation of the chairperson. In the case of absence, inability to act, or conflict of interest on the part of any member of the board, or in the event of a vacancy on the board, until such vacancy is filled by the town manager, all vacancies shall be filled by the town manager for the remainder of the unexpired term in the manner provided for an original appointment. In essence, what happened was we tried to make it a lot more concise, but what we removed is actually the only place you're going to see the clarification of what the liquor licensing board consists of, how it's built, and the whole bit. So the red above it, the first long sentence, and then the little tiny sentence after that, you can delete and just leave what we removed, and there'll be no change in that area. And then finally, just in Chapter 11, Section 1, Town Elections, which is, it's not one of those last but least, this is kind of important. The regular election for all town offices shall be by official ballot held on the 2nd Tuesday in June. And this was, we happened to have the town clerk on our committee, and this makes the most sense. We no longer have to worry about the kids being out of school in order to vote, because we don't vote in the schools any longer. We didn't want it to be the first Tuesday in June, because that's right up against Memorial Day, and you may lose a lot of people who are on vacation or just away. We didn't want to push it any further back, because then the kids are on vacation, and again, we may lose people in voting. So it made most sense to make the change to the 2nd Tuesday in June. And those were our only recommendations. We felt that otherwise the charter really did mirror the bylaws and vice versa pretty clearly. We hope that it meets with your approval. We thank you for the opportunity to let us serve you. And if you have any questions, I'll take those now.
Does anybody have any questions or comments? I have, we'll start with Councilor Mann and then Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. Thank you for the work that you did on this. I'm sorry I wasn't able to go to any of the meetings. They conflicted with my other schedule. I'm just, for your first change, the general provisions, section 3-1-5,
Yes.
I'm having trouble finding in the bylaw. So I'm wondering if this is a section is misprinted. Because I mean, the charter. I'm having trouble finding it in the charter.
You can't, you're having trouble finding it in the charter?
Yeah, because it
Counselor?
only goes up to 3-1-4. So is this something?
Let me take a peek. Page 6 of the charter.
Oh, okay, so this said 56. So it's page 6 of the charter?
Yep, page
Okay.
6 in the charter, -3-1-5.
Okay, that makes more sense. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Any?
Thank you again for your work. I was able to attend one or two of your meetings. Well, I had a couple of quick questions. One is regarding the Chapter 11 change, the election change. Was there any consideration of a weekend date to attract more voters?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Regarding the change to Election Day, was there ever consideration of actually putting it on a weekend day to attract more voters, since people would be more likely to be off?
We actually didn't even think of that, to be honest with you, Counselor. We were going with the fact that we've always voted on a Tuesday. We try not to make too many changes when it comes to Election Day. It doesn't take much to end up with a bunch of people showing up at the community center going, hey, I'm supposed to be voting today. And so we figured that we'd just leave it for Tuesday, pretty much close to when we normally do, only just making it a little bit more feasible to get more people, actually try to get more people out to vote, make it a little more convenient for everybody. So that's why we changed it.
Well,
I think it's been something that's been sitting on the town clerk's back burner for quite some time.
Yeah. Yeah, in fact, I vaguely remember the last time there was a charter review, it went through, and for some reason, general government shut it down.
Yeah.
Also, I was wondering, I remember one of the meetings that I was at for the longest period of time, we were talking about the idea of liaisons between council and school committee. Where did that go?
We felt that at this time, based on the climate, it was best to leave that alone. And if anything like that were to exist, it might be better served that it come from the council and the school committee and work in something together, as opposed to making it pretty much law.
Okay.
So it seemed a little high-handed, and we felt at the time that even though it was a good idea that the two committees get together, we didn't feel like it should be something that was mandatory. So we thought that we would leave that to the common sense of the council and the school committee.
Okay. Thank you.
All set? Any other questions or comments? Councilor Clements?
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, on the 613, the Director of Public Works, what extent of research did your committee do in regard to that? Besides, obviously, your personal experience being on the selection committee, did you go out and check on towns and such, or how much research?
I must tell you, I'll be honest, I did. Do I have that information available with me this evening? I don't. But the few and I didn't go extensive. I didn't look like crazy. I just wanted to get a sense for where we stood. Were we, in the mix, or were we standing out there alone? And from what I gathered from the few communities that and I can't even give you the names at this point. I'll get that information to you if you'd like. Be happy to get that to all of you. Nobody does that. Very few, from what I gather, it must be done, but nobody that I saw was doing that. It was a DPW director, highway maintenance superintendent, whatever, and stood on their own experience and knowledge, but no PE was next to any of their names. Does it mean that they don't have a PE? Not necessarily, but if you work hard enough to get a PE, I can assure you, you're putting those alphabet letters right next to your name, and I didn't see any of that, so no.
A couple of years ago, I'd made a lot of phone calls around the winter time in regard to all our snow removal issues, and called, I think, about 11 communities. Spencer had a PE, and there was one other. Doesn't come off the top of my head, though, but the rest did not, and that was all within surrounding areas. So I was just curious what your follow-up had been.
This particular requirement came up while I was a member of the town council. I can narrow it down to two councilors in my head as to which one brought up the suggestion, and we put it in. But it's not something that's been there since, Southbridge was incorporated. It's fairly new that this was something that we added as a requirement. And I really think that it's proven itself to be more of a hindrance than a help.
Yeah. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Vecchia.
Just to add to that, Kathy, I think you and your board did a great job. And I think 613 is an excellent idea to get rid of the public engineer. I think that was great. That's what I wanted. And I know you didn't do it for me, but I think that's very important because you only had a few people you could pick from. Or you could have somebody great that doesn't have a PE, that's books. If you're going to pick somebody that's book spot, maybe they can't do the job. So
Right.
I'm very, very happy with it, and thank you very much for everything.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? Councilor Manna?
Just one more comment. I'm very happy to see that you made the suggestion about moving the election date from the last Tuesday in June to the second Tuesday. Hopefully, if this passes through, more voters will come out to turn out and vote. Thank you.
You're welcome. I have to say that our committee was made up of people who really were all over the map in terms of where they were coming from, but all of them had a lot of knowledge about the charter and understood what we were trying to do. And it was a pleasure to work with them, and I would work with them in a minute. Thank you again for your time.
Thank you. Just as a note, at this point too, the charter, this is just a review, or rather recommendations based on that review, and there is a lengthy process that involves the proletariat and the legislature and so forth before any of that would potentially become a binding change to the charter. At this point, we have one more presentation, and that is a cable access update from the recently anointed Mr. Southbridge, Mike Montigny.
Can I ask one question?
Sure.
I realize we've been through this process before, but do we not need to, at some point, make a motion to at least
Correct.
agree
Council
to
would
these?
address it.
So at some point,
right.
you'll put it on another?
Right. We
Okay,
wanted to
thank
make sure that
That's the
everything
thing.
was correct and cohesive, so once
Right.
we get an actual corrected version and so
Right.
forth, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Montigny.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Town Manager, and the rest of the committee. Here tonight to just give you an update. I'm honored to be able to give you this positive of an update at the very start of a wonderful fiscal year 2016. Basically, I'm just going to do a quick overview to remind everybody that Southbridge Cable Access is mostly not so much just someone random calls from the town, and when you go out and film something, we take requests from the committees, the school committee, the town council, and if a community member ever wants to film on their own or come film here at the town hall, we do now have a studio, which will be open any day now. Valley's putting the finishing touches on it, and it looks great. But we are more of, with the money that we get from cable subscribers, a service to provide equipment and the ability for people to make their own stuff, whatever it may be, if it's a 5-minute clip or a half-hour clip. And it's been really great. You don't even have to be a charter subscriber to take advantage of that. You just have to be 18 years old and live in Southbridge. Come down and get trained. So we're always looking for community producers. Other than that, the Cable Access Department is structured into 3 19-hour-a-week positions. Myself, the office manager, and the production coordinator. We also have some cameramen that go out. Mr. Maldonado over here is filmed every concert this year. He's been a huge help to really patching up the areas where the 19 hours don't fully mesh. And we pretty much get everything covered. And the last 3 years since we've all worked together, there's been really no hiccups when it comes to anything of the sort. The Cable Advisory Committee is an advisory board. They make purchasing recommendations and policy changes. Ray Gauthier is the chairman. Chris Blanchett is the vice chairman. Tom Ayau, Max Gullickson, Orlando Casada are the other members of the Cable Committee. And it's an excellent team. I could not ask for any other people. It is just a great team, the employees and the cable committee all together. You know, we have a great group of community producers now. When we first came, there was only one. And now we have about 4 or 5. We get all the St. John Paul masses filmed on a regular basis. There's the Sovereign Grace masses. There's masses in Webster, too. It's the people who really want to go above and beyond are usually either in the religious or the political sector. So we deal with that, and we have a lot of church masses and even church, people go into the church. We have another community producer that will go in and do a spot about each of the churches in town. He recently just got a full-time job, so that might slow down, but we have had more community producers in the last 6 months than we have had in the last 3 years. So other than that, the first show that is going to be up is the town manager's show, as he mentioned, celebrating Southbridge, and we're very excited for that. I just kind of wanted to give you, though, an update on what we've done the last 3 years and basically what has happened just recently, because this fiscal year is really important to us at Cable because it was halfway through our contract, so we got more cable capital money this year, and that's allowing us to make more purchases for all 3 of the channels. So in the beginning, when we all first started here together, the best thing that we figured we had to get taken care of right away was the fiber optic lines in Southbridge. And I want to take a minute to explain what that means. That means that there was this old system called the iNet, and that had very many live drops in the town where you could film from the gazebo at the police station, you could go to the armory, the community center. There were a multitude of places, and the whole system itself was functional. The functionality of it was amazing. But now, upgrading to fiber optics, well, you have a crystal clear video and audio for local access, in my opinion. We've lost the capability to go live from anywhere else but the 2 stations here, channel 12 and 13, which is now 192 and 194. And then you have channel 191 up at the high school. Other than that, we have lost the ability to go live from anywhere else, and we currently don't have the ability to go live at the high school because the school's equipment has been in disrepair for some time. We're working to get that resolved, and if we can, that should open up a multitude of areas in the school system where we could broadcast live again. Namely, I would like to get that remedied for graduation because that was always something I thought that should go out live. After that, right before I got here, the cable committee used $60,000 of that first capital money to give to the school department, and they created the middle high school studio with the help of the school building project, and that program has been amazing, and we haven't really put too much more money into it. The cable committee in the very beginning requested that about $4,000 each year be spent to maintain that room and that studio and that program, and it's been enough money to do that without having to upgrade too many things. The tightrope, which is the system at the Southbridge Middle High School, that system was upgraded to high def. So we're ready to go high def if Charter Communications ever does that. We also upgraded the systems, channel 12 and 13 here. And other than that, we've upgraded every camera in this building, I would imagine, and we're about ready to turn the corner and purchase a lot of new stuff for the town and for the school. So, pardon me, it is brutally hot in here. How do you do this, Mr. Carrasco? No, we had a cable committee meeting the other day for the first time in a few months, and the board only meets probably 4 or 5, maybe 6 times a year, but they really wanted this year to do something for the school because it's been a little while, and the program has always worked well at the middle high school. I mean, that's where the studio was built, and we wanted to do something for the elementary schools. In the past, myself and the cable committee included have never really been, fans of mismanagement or anything. So this year we finally can put some money towards the schools and recommend that the cable committee unanimously recommended, firstly, $5,000 be spent to help upgrade and repair the system that allows us to go live from the school system. I think it's important that we be able to utilize every piece of equipment that we got there. And the ability to broadcast graduation, to me, is a really important thing for this town because a lot of people can't get out there. And I know it's on the next day or the day after, but live, it would really, I don't think that we shouldn't be able to go live. So that was something that I brought to them, and they unanimously were absolutely wanted to do that. Of course, the middle high school studio needs a little maintenance, so we're going to purchase 3 more cameras so we have 6. And that way the program can keep expanding. I'm hoping in the future, maybe middle school classes could arise because, it's great to have, kids 9 through 12 grades go up there. But if we could start them earlier, I know there's interest because every time I go to the lunchroom, there'll be a kid in the middle school side that's like, "Mister, can I come film?" And I'm sorry, we don't have a program on the middle school side yet. The thing that I'm most excited about is the fact that the cable committee has unanimously approved and recommended that we buy 3 cameras for the elementary schools. One for Eastford Road, Charlton Street, and West Street. And these are going to be used by the staff over there, and they're going to give the kids and the classes that we teach up there the video, and they're just going to edit everything. And that is going to allow for a lot more things on Channel 191. Because if you haven't noticed, Channel 191 has not a lot of stuff on it, and I do apologize for that, but the program has, like I said, there's been a lot of different parts of the school system that has been lacking with that. Not the ability to go live isn't there. There's not enough cameras in all the places. We couldn't possibly film the elementary school stuff as much as we'd like to. We do get Jim Cosgrove out there to film Flag Day and Veterans Day, but you know, it's really important to me that we move forward right now and do a lot of things in this fiscal year because, as you know, February 15th, 1816, the birthday, 200th anniversary of Southbridge is coming up. And with all, you know, in recent years, there's been, I've gone on record saying how I work here because I love Southbridge and I want there to be positivity everywhere. This year, more than ever, the environment is ripe, you know, for this town to move forward as a team effort together. And cable access is ready, as it will ever be, to do that. You know, on top of the school stuff, we are going to do some things like put a bunch of our things under warranty, but we're going to upgrade these cameras even further for the use of, you could do a really decent news show. We're going to add some things to that camera system in the Studio B. Everything would be ready for celebrating Southbridge, but we can really make it a good place to work on a show. We're also going to give a camera, because now we're going to buy 3 new cameras for here as well, so we'll have a total of 7 cameras to loan out. That being said, one of the older 4, which is the one that I have used to film mostly everything that I have filmed, one of those cameras is going to be given on an indefinite term loan to the Jacob Edwards Library. There's so much stuff going on at the Jacob Edwards Library downstairs in the Piapi room and upstairs too in the reading area. There's just, I know the staff there knows how to film if we just go up there and show them. So we're going to give them a camera with the whole setup and then even more stuff to bring back to this office and a really booming program at the middle high school filled with students that are ready to edit. Also, you will be happy to know that we will be looking soon into purchasing 16 new microphones for the council chambers, longer ones. In fact, I believe these come to about 12, 14, 16 inches, and there's some for 22 out there. And I think it doesn't reach across your papers, clearly, and it's a bother. And they're old. About 4 or 5 of these microphones really are broken, truly. And they're on their last legs. Some of the microphones, the bass doesn't work. Some of the microphones, the highs don't work. And then all you hear is really low talking. And, you know, we need to fix all that. So we right now are in the business of finishing everything that we have our hands in and upgrading them completely to the end. And, well, I'll leave you with one little fun note. I would really like for this department to purchase a quadcopter. If you've ever heard of one of those, it's a little drone with a camera on it. And I do believe that not only could we, if we do something for the 200th anniversary for the Southbridge, you know, bicentennial, in the meantime, or in the future, I should say, economic development could really benefit from having a camera, you know, with FAA approval and all those things. You could do flybys of the industrial park, and you could really try to market something like that for our town. So the things that we're trying to do here, we're trying to increase local access, we're trying to get more programming, try to maybe fill up the YouTube, which has meetings all the way back to the first of the year for 2012. And we would like to be able to start putting other things on there, not just government meetings. So we're really trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone in every chance we get. It's important to me to see this town succeed, and you know, I really hope you guys are going to get excited about all this new programming, because I'm telling you, the school department, we were at there today, the morale is so high, and it was great to be there. It was very, very great to be at that thing today, and I can't wait for Wednesday when the kids come back. So I just really want to tell you all the good things that are happening. You know, I'm pretty sure I covered everything I really wanted to say. You guys are all in high definition now on YouTube, if you didn't know, so you'll have to check that out. I know you only watch on local access, but thank you. If you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer, but I'm just had to share my excitement and all the positivity from Southbridge Cable with you guys up here. Thank you very much, by the way, for all that you do.
Councilor Mann?
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I just want to thank Mr. Montigny for his presentation and all that he and the Cable Access Committee are doing for the community and volunteers, everyone involved. And I'd especially like to thank you for purchasing the new microphones. I look forward to them.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Councilor Carrasco?
Thank you, Mr. Montigny. You do have some energy, which is exciting, and I thank you for that. The only question I have, because I know it's been a concern for many people, how can I say this, is what would be the possibility of even getting some of the subcommittee meetings recorded and later put? Is that something that the cable committee is looking at, or something that could be done? Because I know we have some private citizens that are doing this now, but I think it would ease some of our citizens if we're able to do that. Not saying that they have to be live, but I'm saying whether if they're recorded and played a day or two later.
Sure. So basically, when it comes to the subcommittee, it is tough to meet them all with our 19-hour-a-week staff. An idea that I have had is if you would put a robotic camera in the room with one microphone, whether it's hanging from the ceiling or sitting on the table. I personally don't like the ones that are on the table because then you can hear all the papers and stuff moving around. We would have to test some things out, but it would be more of a remote thing where anyone who works here could put a blank DVD in the DVD player that's connected to one remote microphone and camera. And then you just press record. And it doesn't move, you don't change the volume, you guys have to talk loud, and then at the end you could press stop and we'll have the footage. Other than that, it would really, now that we have all this community producing, before maybe a year ago I would say we had the time to do it, but now there's so many community producers I'd hate to take away from their time. But it is something you could definitely do remotely. It would just, it's money testing out some things, and it's doable. It's doable without this staff too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any openings on the charter, or not the charter, I'm sorry, charter cable, but cable committee?
Sure. Well, that board actually has 2 vacancies. It's had 2 to 3 vacancies ever since I began there. But they just actually, I'll read the vote for you so I don't misspeak. At the last Cable Advisory meeting, they voted to authorize the chairman of the Southbridge Cable Television Advisory Committee to write a letter to the town manager, town council, and any other necessary parties to seek the permanent reduction of the number of seats on the Southbridge Cable Television Advisory Committee from 7 seats to 5 seats. That's completely their board. I'm not on the board. That's something they have total control over too, especially. I can say that it's never gone over 5 members since I've been there, and I haven't heard of any other interest in, I think, a solid 5 members on any subcommittee or non-quasi-judicial, whatever. I think 5 is great. It's an even number. You really don't see 7-member boards that much anymore. But, oh, it's an odd number. It's an odd. My bad.
He's a teacher at Southbridge.
Huh? If you have a question for the chairman, Ray Gothier, he's right there.
If you have any comments on it.
Sure.
By all means.
Hi, Ray Gothier. Most of you know me. Been on cable for, I want to say probably 15, 18 years. Been chairman the last 3 times. They voted me back in. We've always had 7. And since I've been coming to meetings and filming for the last 18 years, we never get 7 at a meeting. 5, maybe 6, which even number can cause problems. Maybe once or twice we've had 7. So the last few years, Mike and I do work and talk to each other. We've tossed it back and forth, and this year, everything's running, as you can see, the equipment, the studio, everything's been running great. So I brought it up to him again. He brought it up to me after, thought about it. We both thought about it. So I am getting a letter drafted to wait for the new town manager and you. Draft a letter. I think the 5 I have, we all talk and we work great. We have discussions. We don't see eye to eye on everything, but we all talk it out. Then we wait, and then things happen. So that's going to be my thing on the board. Like I said, we got great workers, and I got a great board the cable advisory, and I like to see it at 5 myself. It's easier to work with, easier to get people to show up. So I just wanted to let you know why he brought that up.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments from Mr. Montigny? Seeing none, thank you for your time and effort.
Thank you again. Thanks very much for letting us give you this update.
At this time, we move on to agenda item number 8, which is citizens forum. So if there are any residents who would like to come forward to speak on anything not on tonight's agenda, just state your name and address and you'll have 5 minutes to do so.
Good evening, councilors. My name is Robert A. Stover, Jr. I live at 85 Pine Street. I just have a couple items tonight, councilors. First of all, I want to commend all of you for the job you've done and are doing. It's a thankless job. You spend many hours here on subcommittees. I know you just do a lot. It's a thankless job. One of your meetings you mentioned, I think we shouldn't do this. Some of you councilors were in council's forum and said, you know, the chairman and the vice chairman about the best chairman and vice chairman we ever had. Very good chairman and very good vice chairman. But that kind of made a little slight to the past chairman and vice chairman. I think Chairman Nicola, Vice Chairman Marcucci, Vice Chairman Clemens also did a terrific job. Different times, different situations. I want to talk a little bit about the school committee and the town. We got a new school committee, and the old school committee, you people put on your agenda a vote of no confidence. When I heard that, it made me think, like, you know, wow, we have no confidence in our school. Now that we have a new school committee, I was hoping maybe we could put on our agenda a vote of confidence so we can assure the Southbridge residents that we got a new school committee and we're going to be improving our schools. I believe in the school system. I grew up in this town. We have a good school system, and I just think we needed the right people, and we're getting the right people. And a couple other things that I just want to mention. I walk around Southbridge quite often, and at the traffic lights, especially up here by Wells Junior High School, when you press the walk sign, you got about 3 seconds to get across the street. I was with an elderly woman. We were walking together. We got about maybe 3 to 5 steps across the crosswalk, and a man hollered, "Can't you read the thing? It says don't walk." We got to I don't know who can look into that matter, but I checked a few of them, and they're about all the same. You got about 3 seconds to get across the street. The red light might hold up the traffic, but it does say don't walk. So this poor woman was all shook up, so I said I was going to come down and say something. Also, up here on Main Street, the 600 block, the sidewalk on the left-hand side from where the liquor store is going down the hill by Big Bunny, I don't know what control we have, but there's all kinds of trees and branches hanging over the side, like heading toward the road over the sidewalk. When I walk down that way, I have to like nod my head down, and I could, you know, if there's something anybody could do maybe to look at that. Again, this is my first time here. I was a little nervous. You know, at home it's a lot easier to yell at you people because I don't have to face you. But honestly, it's a great committee. I just can't tell you how much I appreciate all of you, especially with this year with you people watching the budget. You don't want to raise taxes. You're looking out for the residents. I was a business owner here when taxes had to go up, but I understood why. People in Southbridge, we have a lot of services. We have to pay for those services. We have an outstanding police department. We have an outstanding fire department. We have a DPW second to none. We have a veteran agent up there named Mike Trombley. Fabulous job. I'm a vet and I can go to him anytime. He has an open door policy. We have a town and now a school committee that we need to be proud of. We need to move forward. Enough of the negative. There's a lot of positive things we have here, people. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Stover. Do we have any other residents who'd like to come forward to speak on anything not on tonight's agenda?
Good evening, Kevin Buxton, 28 Columbus Avenue. I appreciate time with the council, and I'd like to welcome the new town manager. I look forward to working with him in the future. Sounds like there's a lot of great projects he has, a lot of great projects Cable Access is working on. The idea of showing more of our subcommittees on cable access is great, because you're always saying that's where the work is, that's where citizens should come forward. As It's very difficult to make meetings all the time. As you know, you have to make them. One of the positive things I've finally, after years of racking my head over some kind of incentive program, I finally came up with a recycle incentive program where I'm going to be presenting it to the Sustainability Committee as the first step in introducing it. It needs a lot of work. It's basically a mathematical formula and nothing else. That presenting it to the Access Sustainability Committee on September 10th, 6 p.m. I'd love to see any citizens out there who maybe missed the old recycle bank, who feel that our recycling program is something to work on and be proud of. I'd love to see you there. As far as participation, I mentioned to the council that I was going to try to get back into the swing of attending more meetings. I attended the last Board of Health meeting. I was the one and only citizen there. When it came to citizen input, I didn't have to wait in line. For whatever reason, whether people think that the Board of Health is the Board of Health and citizens don't have a say or don't have a concern, or I don't know. Over the years, I've attended many of the meetings, and they are very important. They're always open. People like myself who have cares, concerns, questions. You have citizens' input during the agenda items. The chair is always happy to recognize a citizen with a question. There were times where there were more citizens at the Board of Health, but it seems not. Maybe it's another meeting. Maybe if we got them televised so that people knew what subjects were coming up. Maybe if we could have a bulletin board. Because I'm trying to attend more subcommittee meetings, I have to come into the town hall and check the bulletin board. If we could get some kind of electronic bulletin board on the cable access scroll showing upcoming meetings and agendas, maybe it will get somebody's attention. Oh, geez, that meeting's coming up on a particular subcommittee. Geez, I want to get involved on that. Like I said at the last meeting, a recruiting program to try to fill the board, empty seats on the board for all the committees. We need to do something. We need to involve our public in our government. As sad as it is that we stop people from rushing off to Syria to join ISIS, we can't get them to attend subcommittee meetings, join in on trail meetings, conservation, get involved. That's all I ask. Get involved here. Don't get involved in ISIS over there. Get involved here. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Do we have any other residents who'd like to come forward?
Good evening. Welcome to town manager. I'd like to say that in town I have a lot of insensitive, a lot of positivity, but without your help, the children need all of us to build a boys club and girls club. We need it today, not yesterday, not tomorrow. If you really care about our children of today, let's do it today. I'll put up $1,000 by the 1st of September. I'll put up $1,000 to see these children have intensity like all of you have. You may laugh at me, you may think I'm a joke, but believe it or not, I've been from here to the State Senate Department, and I'm not with it. I'll put my life on this. The children need us today. You have each other. What do they have? Trust being bullied. What do they have? The kids once a week. They need you. They need you. And if you don't do it, where they gonna end up? Jail or somebody's more, or being a bully. Let's get real. Let's be serious. Like I said, I'll put up the $1,000. That's not it. I know it's a lot of work, but are the children with it? Are they at kids out? Are they with it? I think so. As God put us to work together as a community. You all did it with Conway Farm, look how nice that was. Now, if we have a nice boys club, and for the elderly, we cannot forget the elderly. But remember, they were once children, and they taught us what we know today. So when you're all working together, walking up and down Main Street, put them children first. Then they'll have an indoor swimming pool during the winter, they'll have interaction, they'll have positivity. Nothing is perfect, nothing ever goes right. But if we put some incentive in there and positivity, they will have it. And the other thing is, yes, the police department, they have a new chief, but you only see a cruiser out there every 13 hours. We need real patrol out there. Get the foot patrol back. Town manager, it's your job to see us all safe, including yourself. And I'm urging every one of you, why these police officers are spending money on driving around cruisers and getting no exercise. I say it's time, let's get on the street, all of us. I'm out there 18 hours a day, and I'm proud of it, because I do voluntary rides. And I'm very happy to serve this community. Town manager, I know you're brand new here, but talking to the chief, we have very little arrests here. If we put more fear into the drug addicts and the bullies, the town is gonna be beautiful, because it's you and you, all of you, not what I'm doing today. God only gave me so much time here, but please look into what I'm saying. We don't need cruisers out there to ride up and down. We need foot patrol, we need interaction, we need water help out there too. There's a lot of empty houses out there, land that's being used for other businesses that's not even licensed. It's out there that don't license people. No, it's not. I'm asking you, the board, the chair, the manager, look into what I'm saying. Don't believe what I'm saying. Look into what I'm saying. You want these children happy, then you'll see progress in the school, and the kids will be more happier. But they'll have interaction, they'll have them to look forward to. They can earn badges, they can earn marriage, they can earn positivity in their life. I'm urging you to look into it, and like I said, I'll put up the first $1,000. I don't have that much money, but I want to see these children instead of playing on the street corner, and like the gentleman said, pressing three-way buttons, right, and get hit by a car. And last but not least, I like to thank Hamilton Hospital. They do the utmost job, and they do not get any rewards. It's all about the town down, the airport, what about the fire department, what about all the emergency services? never find a job in the airport. These people save our lives every day. What do they get? Nothing. A paycheck. They have private life like us. Alright. And without saying it, but don't listen to me at all. Open your eyes. You may laugh at me when I be there tonight, but I'm not winning. Just like where you are today, you didn't quit to get where you're at. You put positivity in it. And that's what I'm saying tonight. God bless each and every one of you and stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. Bissett.
My name's John Pulaski. I live at 3 Jennison Street. That's a hard act to follow. He makes a good point. Last night, I don't know if any of you saw 60 Minutes, there's a young lady, African-American woman, who's one of the best ballerinas in the world. Misty Copeland, I believe her name is. I've seen her before. I'm not into that particular art form, but I appreciate that. But something I noticed last night, her parents were having a hard time, and they were living in a hotel room. And it was the Boys Club, Girls Club in that city that gave that young lady an escape, a place to go, so she didn't have to sit in that room. I was very fortunate. Many of the people up you, I kind of know your families, so some of you, most of the people in town, those my age, we did grow up in a Leave It to Beaver type household, or, you know, I mean, we had good, I mean, our parents, we had great parents, a lot of us. And children today don't necessarily have that at home waiting for them. In fact, some kids are better off not going home at night because all the parents don't necessarily behave well. So that's a great outlet. We've got that Cops and Kids program in town that's great for the summers. God knows how many tragedies that's prevented, but it's not there for the kids year round. And this money we're going to be appropriating, like for the sewer line to the airport and the airport, that's important money. But I would think the town could at least come up with as much for our children. I'm not kidding you. It's easier in downtown for a kid to get a bag of heroin for $5. They don't chew it up, they snort it, than it is to get a baseball mitt. Something not right about that. And we got to give the kids alternatives. The kids can say no, just say no. They can just say no 364 days a year. But if there's one day they don't say no, God help them, because the town really isn't there for them. So I'm not even going to talk about some of the other things I was going to talk about tonight. I wanted to correct one thing about the leachate, only in that after looking at the report from the fellow from Florida Atlantic University, he was replying on leachate in which there's yard waste and garbage. He was not talking about leachate from where we put coal bottom ash and what they call C&D, construction and demolition, which has drywall, which turns to hydrogen sulfide. And also it wasn't considering the contaminated soil, of which we have hundreds of thousands of tons. If you put these things in a landfill in Florida, and it's because they are water table, in some places is at 4 inches, you go to jail, and you go to jail for a long time. Here, our water table's in a different place, so we can put hundreds of thousands of tons. It's not even a misdemeanor. Also, the landfill comparison study, it was mentioned last week. I respectfully disagree with the idea of hurrying up and getting it over with. Because first of all, we didn't need that study. I tried to stop it last year. We had a deal, they called it most favored nation status. We were going to get, at these 7-year renewals, the best price of anywhere in the Commonwealth. For some reason, the one place that, from my understanding, from my asking questions, I found out how much money. It's not my place to say how much money they're getting at Fitchburg. But if that Fitchburg number is slipped and not put in that study, it can cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars a year minimum. So that needs to be looked at. We shouldn't accept that study because we're really shooting ourselves in the foot if we accept it. But we didn't pay for it, right? It was $27,000 for some reason. Casella paid for it. Well, we're not losing anything by not accepting it. And regarding the charter, I guess that's the stuff I'm going to skip over. I have a few things here, but I think it's odd. Let's say you guys voted. Okay, I'm just going to skip that. It takes 25% of the voters to reverse a vote from the council. Come on, you guys, I don't think any of you have been elected with more than 15% of the people. We shouldn't have such a high bar where you got to get 25% of people to come in and vote. And the other thing, there was just something said, a few people are upset with me over the last week or so about this civil action with the town. Something was said here at the last meeting that the judge threw it out. That's not the case. The judge didn't throw that out. And I'm not going to get into the details of the case, but it's not over with. And it was never about getting rid of Mr. Pecos either. Mr. Pecos, a lot of people love him in this town, even though I didn't always agree with him. I liked him. Of all the town managers we've had in the past, I liked him the most. I hope I like you more than any of them. Good luck. Welcome to Southbridge. And I had an opportunity to talk to you briefly. I like that you listen, and that's important. I really like that you listen to people. And you're respectful, too. That's great. And Mr. Pecos was respectful as well. Thank you for your town. Thank you for servicing. Thank you for serving the town. And please, I'm not saying don't vote for the airport, but please, that Boys Club, Girls Club idea, wow, that's a great idea. That's something we can all work together. I don't think anyone's going to say, no, we don't need a Boys Club, Girls Club in Southbridge. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other residents who'd like to come forward to speak on anything not on tonight's agenda? Seeing none, we move on to agenda item number 9. This is a 2/3 roll call vote that is required. It is ordered that $700,000 is appropriated to design, construct, furnish, and equip an airport terminal/hangar building. That to meet this appropriation, the treasurer, with the approval of the town manager, is authorized to borrow $700,000 under Chapter 44 of the Massachusetts General Laws or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and to issue bonds or notes therefore.
So moved.
Second.
Before we open up, I'd like the manager to explain this.
Mr. Chairman, we have with us tonight John Henry, who's our project manager from Semtech, and I'm going to ask that John be able to present a little bit of information to us. John Henry from Semtech Corporation. He's the project manager for the town for the airport terminal project. If we could have John get up and speak, and then we could take questions from there, it would probably make the most sense.
I have a question. Did you say he's a project manager for the town?
For the purposes of building the airport terminal.
We pay him?
Correct.
Where does the salary come out of? What department?
The salary is coming out, I believe, in the end of the day, will be coming out of grant funds.
Where?
Grant funds.
Yeah, that's what you keep on saying, grant money. Okay, thank you.
Thank
With
you.
that, John, if you'd like to come up and make a presentation.
Thanks, Ron. Mr. Chair, councilors, thanks for having me up here. I think Ron invited me here just to give a brief presentation and maybe try to answer any questions you might have related to the bond in question here. I have a handout, if you wouldn't mind just passing those out so I can set up the easel. So again, my name is John Henry. I am with Stantec Consulting. We've been the consulting engineer for the Southbridge Airport Commission for the better part of 2 decades. I've been with Stantec for 3 years, and I've been working with the town of Southbridge for the last 3 years. This project has essentially lasted that entire duration. And if I could, I just want to give you a brief chronology of the project, because I think some of the information in the chronology is relevant to the bond in question tonight. So Ron here is my fourth town manager. I've been through several iterations of the council. I've been through 2 airport managers, and it's been quite a project. Since 2011, there was 3 buildings destroyed in the tornado. One was the terminal building, which had 6 parking spaces. One was the Quonset hut, which had another 6 parking spaces, and another was a nested tea hangar that was built in 2007 that had another 6. So it was a total of 18 revenue-generating parking spaces that were lost. Since then, the airport has contacted or had Stantec do a structural visual assessment to determine that the buildings essentially need to be replaced. One was down, the second one has already come down, need to be replaced, and the third is partially down, and the terminal building is currently functioning with some repairs that the tenant has made. From February 2012 to May 2013, Stantec worked with the then town manager, Chris Clark, to negotiate with the insurance company, and I think the initial offer and then the final offer that we had after several iterations was about $500,000 in additional funding that became available through our work with negotiating and presenting the criteria required to build on an airport. So since then, in June 2012, we started phase 1 of this project, which was to replace the T hangars that were destroyed.
Hey,
We started that.
John?
Yes.
Could you bring that, I don't think they can see the chart or what you're looking at. Could you bring it out more to the middle if you
Sure.
can?
It's
Okay, you're
all the
watching
same stuff in the
okay, that's
package, so
fine.
you can refer to the package as well.
That's fine.
Now the cameras won't be able to see.
I
Yeah,
put it
put it
back
back
to the
where it
cameras,
was.
I'm sorry.
We need the people.
There you
As long as you're following the sheets, that's fine.
All right, so essentially in June 2012, we started the design on the first phase of this, which was to replace the six bay T hangars. A year later, it was constructed and completed. That same April, we worked with the FAA and with the town and the Southbridge Airport Commission to start phase 2 of the project. Part of that process with the FAA is to submit a scope and fee, to have an independent fee estimate done on our scope and fee, which was approved. It was ready to be signed by the town manager, and at that point, the town council tabled the project. Like many other towns, they were searching for ways to trim the budget, looking for extra money. So the question was brought, why we put money into the airport? Can we close the airport? At that time, I think 6 months later, we came to the town, we gave a presentation on the value of the airport to the community, and most importantly, the obligations required the town would have to pay back to the federal government to close the airport. Ultimately, it was decided to move forward, not close the airport, and authorize phase 2 to begin. That delay of about 6 months, it allowed for the town to take part in the statewide program. At the same time, Mass DOT Aeronautics Commission was developing a program to make all of the airports in the state have uniform terminal buildings, administration buildings. They were considered the gateway to the state, and they hired a consultant to develop prototypes for different size airports. So because of that delay, the town council tabled the contract. It allowed the town of Southbridge to kind of be included in that, at least partially in that grant. And the funding you see on this table for about $1 million would not be there if we were not included in that program. So in March 2014, the town reauthorized us to begin design, which we did. A year later, in April, bids were opened on the project, and they came in significantly over budget, about $400,000 over budget. There's several reasons that it came in over budget. Mainly, I think it was the boom in construction. The economy was down for so long. The way we do estimates, the way typically construction estimates are done by designers, you take previous years or previous history of unit prices, multiply them by your quantities, and you come up with the estimate for the job. But because construction was booming, cost of materials was much higher, and contractors' prices were much higher because availability was so slim from contractors. So I think that's the reason that the budget came in significantly higher than our estimate. So after the budget came in higher, we met with the FAA, we met with Mass DOT, and representatives from the town and the Airport Commission to see what we could do to bridge the gap in the funding shortfall. FAA did not have any additional money available. They did allow the use of fiscal year 16 and 17 funding, which is shown in this chart. The town would have to front that money, and then the FAA could reimburse the town once that money becomes available. Mass DOT did not have any additional money, and The town didn't really have any additional money either, which is why we're here for the additional bond. But at that meeting in April, it was decided to rebid the project to see if we could get lower prices. We did rebid the project with some feedback from the bidders. We extended the duration of the project by another 30 days. And the prices came in marginally lower, about $70,000 lower than the first time. So that essentially brings us to where we are today. I just want to make, one thing clear, I guess, is due to that delay when the town council voted to table the project, it allowed us to get into this state grant. But at the same time, it also required us to use our fiscal year 11 non-primary entitlement funding. So let me just give you a brief history of that if you're not unaware. Southbridge Airport is part of the NIPIA system of airports. Because of that, they fall under the Airport Improvement Program from the FAA. Every year, they are entitled to $150,000 of non-primary entitlement funding, which is good for 3 years. You can carry it over for 3 years before it expires. So that 2011 funding was set to expire, so the FAA allowed us to do a design-only grant to design this project. If this project does not move forward in its current capacity as designed, that money that was used, which is the first section of your table here, would have to be reimbursed back to the federal government and to the state. And that total is somewhere around $247,000. So if the project does not move forward in its current state and get constructed, then the non-primary entitlement money used and the state money used is no longer valid and needs to be paid back.
Are you all set and ready for questions, or are you still going?
No, I'm all set.
Okay.
I can answer any questions you have on the chart or anything
Sure.
else.
I have Councilor Clements first.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this has been a long process. Been around for most of, I think, all of it. So one of the questions I had, the other recipients, so this grant that the FAA decided to do to make everybody a little more uniform, to make Southbridge, to make Massachusetts more uniform in their terminals and such. That was quite a process to get picked. I'm trying to let the people know the scope of how we were chosen.
It's a state grant.
And it was a small amount of people who were chosen out of the recipients, correct?
Yeah, Mass DOT Aeronautics, so it's a state grant that was developed, and Southbridge wasn't eligible at first because the project, the grant itself hadn't been developed, the prototypes hadn't been developed. Because of the delay, I think they select 1, maybe 2 terminals a year, and it's based on need, it's based on employment. And so Southbridge wasn't real high up on that list, but because we were already in the process, they allowed a portion of it to get, so we didn't get the entire grant that, let's say, a new terminal building would get, because we're not building the whole scope of a new administration building. We're doing it in conjunction with the hangar. So instead of doing 3,000 square feet or 6,000 square feet, we're doing 3,000 square feet, maybe half the scope.
Right. Lots of meetings, lots of negotiation to get them to let you do let us to do just the smaller terminal too,
Yes.
as I recall. And you talk about the bid coming in high, and I know that's been a concern for a while. The other recipients of this grant, it was my understanding that the bids came in high for them too, correct? Wasn't that generally what was happening?
Yes, the general trend was the bids came in high. The very first one that was advertised, I don't know if it was Beverly or Fitchburg, one of them, those bids came in high. And then, of course, once you have the benefit of a few bids, then you have the ability to adjust your bids so you know what to expect.
So it wasn't unusual in our case to what has happened to us.
Correct.
Right. And I guess lastly, we run the risk. I mean, obviously, it's a project that's been in the works for quite some time. You now talk about a $240,000 payback or thereabouts, and we have a $340,000 commitment to make.
Right. In addition to that, if I can just add, we were supposed to have an answer on this by May. It's the typical grant cycle. We've been working with the FAA to extend that deadline, and they needed an answer by August 20th, which is why you guys were going to intend to do a special meeting on the 17th, which you couldn't do. The airport, grant specialist wrote to headquarters and got, permission to extend it to the 26th. So if we don't have a decision by the 26th, then additional $90,000, which is essentially the 2012 remaining of the non-primary entitlement grant, will evaporate back into the federal general fund.
Right. And I just want to make it clear to people who may be watching, and I'm sure our new town manager can explain things too. We have a memo. We've all received a memo. We've all been briefed on this in many ways over the last year even, really. But we have a memo outlining a number of areas to perhaps offset these numbers and such. So just keep that in mind as you're watching and listening tonight and hearing these big numbers and what we're doing to move forward with this potentially. There is a lot more to it than what you're going to get out of this meeting tonight. The memo is public record. If people want to know some of the possibilities, perhaps they'll talk about some of that in terms of how we might be able to offset this deficit here. So I just want to bring that to people's attentions. A lot of times you sit out there and you don't know, not because of anything you've done or not done, but you just don't have all the information, and we have a lot more information here as counselors in terms of making such a large decision this evening. Thanks for your time, Mr. Henry. I'm all set, thank you.
Councilor Vecchia.
What's your name again?
John.
All right, I have several questions to begin with. How much has this project cost the town so far?
This specific portion, so we're calling this phase 2, which is the terminal, which administration/hangar building is in the top chart of what you have there. So thus far, the town is obligated for somewhere around $13,000, which is a 5% share of the design-only grant.
I think, if I could, John, the town so far in the phase 2 design costs have currently spent $257,584.48. That money was spent from the town insurance fund, and that will be reimbursed through a state grant when the state grant comes through.
This $700,000 to one of you, they're asking us to borrow $700,000. And if I see this right, we're going to get reimbursed $300,000?
That would be correct.
So it's going to cost us $400,000.
The projected cost right now is $352,422, and that's in the memo that we gave you. Okay. And there's about $47,000 of contingency money there as well. Okay. That over a 20-year life will be about $28,000 a year in debt service payments.
Yeah. So can somebody explain to me, why are we giving the airport $350,000?
Obviously, most of the money is coming from the state and federal government for this project, but this would end up being the town's contribution to that project. What would be the benefits of the town is having an airport that would be able to attract economic development up at the airport. That would be tremendously positive. The new terminal will be there. There'll be a flight school in there. There will be some revenues from that as well. Obviously, you'd have to look at what the long-term potential economic development benefits will be from enhancing the airport.
Can you give me an example of some economic development?
As a matter of fact, you have that report. If John has a report for you that will demonstrate to you what the economic development impact is from airports around the state, so he's going to provide you with that report.
So just to clarify, this isn't the entire report. There was a report commissioned by Mass DOT, Aeronautics Commission. CDM Smith did the report in 2014. So there's numbers in here for statewide, and then there's numbers in here specific to Southbridge. This was done prior to the flight school being in there, so the numbers I think are higher than are probably what's shown in here. Can you take one of these? This information was pulled by our airport planner, so I can't speak that well to it, but I can give you a summary that the airport supports 20 jobs with a total payroll of $556,000 and what this report calls a total output of $1.7 million. And the way that's calculated essentially is they give the example if you have a job and you go to the store you spend the money at the store, that money gets spent, and they have the multiplier in there of for every $100 spent, $56 is created within Massachusetts. So that's the basis of some of this information.
Just to make these numbers work, we're looking to borrow $700,000, but within 2 years, we're going to get reimbursed $150,000 for 2 years. We're going to get reimbursed $300,000.
Yeah, $300,000 will be reimbursed,
When
correct?
are we going to get that $300,000?
I've talked a lot with the town accountant about that. Basically, we would take short-term borrowing, and as the money comes in, 2016, we expect that would happen sometime probably between April and June when that money would actually come in.
Which would be $150,000.
Which would be $150,000, correct. So we may have to borrow that money for a very short period of time, and then the 2017 money, the other $150,000 would be borrowed for perhaps a year and a half or so.
All right, but this is $700,000. Where's the other $400,000 coming?
The 352,000, and then assuming we spend the 400 or the 47,000 in contingency money,
Yes.
that would be borrowed for a period of 20 years, and the payback would be about $28,000 a year in debt service over a 20-year period at 5%.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All set, Councilor Vecchia?
I'm all set, thank you.
Okay, I have Councilor Carrasco.
Yeah, I don't think it's for you, Mr. Henry, but I thank you for your diligence and your work. But I think this is either for our town manager or even Karen, if she can answer this. Because I know in the past, the airport several years ago was always operating in the red. And I know they have turned the corner, and we're now, I've been told, I'm under the impression that we're operating in the black. What is that surplus? Because if that surplus can be used to pay the $28,000 a year of debt service, now we're not looking at $28,000 a year, or are we talking about including that surplus in this figure?
If you would, I think the better question might be asked to Ron in terms of your budget for the airport, if there, what the condition of that budget in. Oh, I'm sorry. Karen, do you want to answer that?
Okay.
Address that?
Actually, for this past fiscal year, fiscal 15, the revolving account for the airport did not end in the black without making some adjustments. So we're still in the transition period where we're trying to have the revenue exceed the expenses.
And now, would that be because of the installation of the gas pumps? Because I know we made some purchases in hopes of getting some revenue. Are we not generating the revenue as we thought? Because again, my concern is that we keep investing. I understand that it's going to draw business, it's going to keep businesses. But again, if we're just not going to be able to afford, and I know I was the one that initiated the process to borrow another $1.5 million to build the sewer line and not rely on Casella. So this would be an additional $700,000 that we're borrowing to invest in that area of our community. So my concern is if we're still not operating in the black or not generating enough revenue, because I would like to see the surplus be used to pay for the debt service.
Part of the projections for the airport did include the revenue coming in from the diner for 12 months, and obviously that isn't a reality yet. So that does make quite a bit of a difference too, because that brought us right around to we may break even, we may make a little bit of money. I don't remember if it was maybe around like $900 a month we had estimated. And the capital was on its own. The council appropriated some capital money to do the pumps. It's mostly, we're kind of starting up, seeing what we're getting for the rent coming in for the spaces, for the hangars, and also there were some repairs that needed to be done up there. I know they're trying to do a good job in doing some, a lot of the work themselves too, because the money really isn't available to do a lot of the capital improvements that need to be done, say like with the diner and the handicap ramp and the deck and all of that. So we're working our way through it. I'd like to say, I think we need a little bit more time to see how fiscal 16 works out. They do have some insurance, they pay for their insurance, but those are some of the tweaks that we had to make. to have the general fund still pick up some of the costs during fiscal 15.
Thank you, Mr. Counselor. There's two other potentials of revenue that I know that Kevin was looking at in this memo, and I wasn't here at the time, but the two issues are, one is there is some interest in the Airport Commission to move forward with a solar project of its own up at the airport property, which would bring in revenue that might help some of that $28,000 debt service. Also, there's a piece of property up in the industrial park that Kevin was talking about potentially putting out for bid, and that could also be used to pay some of this money as well.
Thank you.
Yes. I have Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Henry. You mentioned that we'd have to pay some money back if this didn't move forward with, if this project, if the money didn't move forward, if you didn't move forward with this project, we'd have to pay some money back to the federal government.
Yes.
How much money was that?
If you total up the federal and state money in the top box you have up there, so it's 209,000 plus 3889. The total is $247,950.
You already said that.
I'm sorry.
You already said that, but she's
Excuse
talking.
me, I have the floor. Thank you. I just wanted to get that clarified because it looks to me like there's many ways that this money could be paid back, and I just want to ask maybe the town manager, maybe I'm reading this wrong, but Congressman Neal's office said that there was some money available. So would this help offset this, or?
But what he was saying is there's a grant that comes in that has yet to be authorized yet, but it's come in every year for many, many years. It's a normal grant process. He was expressing, in the letter was expressing that he believes that grant is going to come forward just like it always has. It's not extra money, it's money that's already plugged in as a revenue.
Okay, so it's already, okay. Okay. I don't want to see us lose, I don't want to see us risk losing the flight school. The Airport Commission, it's new, just a little bit over a year, things have been changing. There's a lot of work that still needs to be done up there. It takes time, and it does take money. And sometimes it takes money to help bring in money. I would hate to see us lose any, take that risk of losing the flight school up there, losing the potential money that could come in, and having to pay the federal government back. And if people are thinking about just not doing anything with the airport, we have to remember we had a big discussion on that, and if we were to close down our airport, we have to pay back like $46 million in federal money back to the federal government. So, I mean, I like this option better. Thank you.
Councilor Clay.
Thank you. I'm not sure exactly who to address this to, but what are the future projections of this economic growth, like specifically for the town? I know, like this looks like we have some like general kind of ideas, but do you have an actual like business plan or some kind of like marketing plan or something that is solidified? Because at this point now we have voted $1.75 million for a sewer line that I don't think that the land that it's going through is really going to affect the industrial park at this moment. So it's really just to kind of, it's really just to satisfy some of the requirements of this grant as we've been explained. And so now we have an additional $700,000. So the debt service to the taxpayer seems like it's just going to be growing and growing. So what are the benefits?
If I could, just for a minute, John. First of all, I want to be really clear because I want people to be confused. The debt service is between $352,000 and $400,000, which is the town part of it. The $300,000 of that $700,000 is going to be reimbursed through grant money. I want to be clear what we're talking about in terms of the town's contribution to this, okay? You can talk about, he handed out a thing about the overall benefits, economic development benefits of airports across the state, and a little bit about how that specifically would affect Southbridge. As you know, me and you have had some discussions about the long-term economic development benefits of the airport and the surrounding area. As a matter of fact, so much I met with our new economic development director to specifically talk about developing what you're talking about, a plan for that whole industrial park area, looking at what lots are available, in terms of what condition of those lots, are they pad ready or not pad ready. That is something we're taking off immediately to look at, to developing a long-term strategy for that whole area. Obviously, the sewer line has tremendous benefits in ever trying to enhance those lots and making them available for economic development. Also, it allows us to increase the economic development around the airport. So if new hangars or new facilities at the airport, you wouldn't want to have to build, for instance, new septic systems every time you had an expansion. So this is a long-term project to increase the economic development opportunities throughout Southbridge. Airports generally, and I can't speak specifically to this airport, but airports that I've been involved with, for instance, I was involved with Oxford Airport, they tend to attract businesses around them. A lot of the business owners own small airplanes. They like to locate their businesses near airports. It has potential for bringing in stuff from anywhere in the country or world in small airplanes. We can't say to you specifically how, that we're going to have 5 new businesses as a result of that yet. This is the beginning process, and it creates that economic development opportunity, but there's a lot of work that we're going to have to do here in Southbridge, particularly around our new economic development director, to start marketing that property. We need to get those properties on a statewide marketing list to see. We might need to even sand the gravel up there to remove some of the rock, as me and you were talking about. So this is a foundation we're building for long-term economic development, but it's not here yet, and we have to build that. But that's our future in this town, so we need to go down that path.
Okay.
Well said.
Thank you.
I have Councilor Steves.
Actually, I think she pretty much stole most of my question. Although I would like to ask, I would also like to ask, I don't know if to the town manager or probably to Ron Pluff, is there anything in this airport's master plan about the long-term economic development of this airport, as opposed to the actual build-out of the airport itself?
That's you,
Ron, you heard the question. Ron, can you come on up? Did you hear the question?
Sure.
No, I didn't.
I was asking if there's anything in the airport's master plan about dealing with the long-term economic development of the airport itself, as opposed to the rebuilding and expansion of the airport itself. And how has the Airport Commission looked at the kinds of concerns that Councilor Clare just mentioned?
Well, if I could start back a little bit further,
okay.
I can tell you some of the things that we've overcome over the last year. Fuel last year I couldn't even sell.
Yeah, I remember.
I think you all knew that. I didn't start selling fuel until February. Mm-hmm. One of the best things we did up there is go self-service. The other thing that was really positive was the addition of the flight school. They continue to buy more fuel than anybody else. And it's convenient. People can come there 24 hours a day and get their fuel. My price in Southbridge is $5.63 a gallon. In Worcester, they just went up. It's now $7.10. So anybody coming or going from Worcester would certainly want to stop in Southbridge. We had no income with the diner. Hopefully we're going to be getting that open very, very soon. We lost $5,000 last year on the mechanics hangar. We had to have a problem with that person, and we're trying to correct that. Our insurance is $8,000 a year. So we've got a lot that we have to overcome to make up that money.
So do you
when
actually
we started,
have...
we had 10 airplanes. We now have 21. I have a waiting list. If I had a couple more T-hangars, I have a waiting list of 15 people that would come in there tomorrow. So we're being very positive in the eyes of Mass DOT and the FAA. They compliment all the time on how that airport looks. We've done a lot of work. We've got some private people that invested money in that place. The labor up there is all donated. We're working hard to get this thing where it should be. And there is no doubt in my mind that once we get that sewer line in and we get that new administration building, which, by the way, is going to have a public meeting room so people can have weddings there and parties, and some of the organizations like the Rotary Club and whoever can have their meetings there. We'll have the diner in operation so they can get their meals, because most of them meet at noontime. It's going to be a bustling place, I can guarantee you that.
What do you think is the primary reason? What are the primary reasons why the diner isn't up and running yet?
If you look at airports in the state of Massachusetts, they don't all have diners. You probably heard the term a $100 hamburger. Well, most of these people that have small airplanes have a hobby, and they like to have a place to go. So they'll...
I understand that, but I'm asking, what are the issues with why the diner isn't open yet? I remember hearing a while back that you had hired a diner manager or something to that effect.
There were several issues with code.
Okay.
The place needed a lot of work.
I knew that, yeah. Besides that, I knew that.
So, anybody else?
Are you all set, Councilor Steves?
Sure.
I have Councilor Vecchia.
To begin with, I don't know if Councilor Mann said this, but did you say we were millions of dollars we'd have to pay back?
Yes.
Did you say $45 million?
Yes.
Is that true?
I don't know, $45 million?
And federal grants.
If we were to decommission the airport,
Yes.
there would be tens of millions that would have to be paid back to the state if we were to decommission the airport.
Yeah, well, I'm the last guy that's going to decommission the airport. What I want to say is that I've always said this for the last 15, 20 years. The airport is one of our biggest assets. Also, we seem to have the right town manager here, and he talks about economic development. This could be a very, very, very good thing. I'm saying very about 4 or 5 times. Also, heaven forbid if we had a national disaster or we really needed that airport. That airport is very, very, very important. So it's not costing us that much money, so I'm definitely voting for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Clements.
Thank you. A couple of things. To the previous Councilor Steves, I said Gus, Councilor Gus, you were talking about the diner and such. I would just like to recognize we've got some Airport Commission people here who have been bringing the diner up to code, correct? Maybe you could tell us some of the things you've done on your own for improvements, or Ron could, but I would love to have somebody tell us the hard, back-breaking work that you've been doing. I toured it a while back when it was really cold and you had salamander heaters heating the place. But I would love you guys to come and tell this community what you've been doing up there, because it's beyond, we could not have paid to get what's been done.
Yeah, I think I'm Rick Clements, Secretary of the Southbridge Airport Commission. I think there's a lot of people, I myself have put a lot of time up there and brought some people up to help work on the deck. If anybody's been up there, please take a ride up. We put a whole new deck on approximately almost a year ago. We had Nicholas College came in, volunteered with their football team, and they actually took down the old deck for us and put in a dumpster, and then began the process of building a new deck. It's been a long haul, but we need to make something that was structurally sound and be a great place to eat. And so if you go up there, basically we have left at this point is to build the stairs and a little bit of railing on the back side of the deck. But I work mostly on the outside and the foundation. We had some people that are friends of Southbridge Airport, John Silverberg, who's sitting here in the the bleachers over here. He did a lot of work on the inside. There was some rotting floors that he replaced. He structurally moved some stairs that go to the basement that needed to be moved because it was when you walk down the cellar stairs, there's a column right in front of your face. So he moved the stairs. He did a lot of work on the flooring and got the diner up to code, put exit signs that need to be placed in the diner. And so I think there's a lot of people that have done a lot of work up there, as well as other airport commissioners. Paul Parent, who was on the airport commission, and Lenny, Chairman Lenny also worked on the bathroom and putting the plumbing in. And so basically, we got the diner ready to go. And it's been out to bid twice. It went out about approximately 2 months ago, and some bids came in. They weren't filled in properly. And so it was rebid, and the bids came in this past Friday. So as of Friday, we have one person that put in a proper bid, and the town manager is going to be working with that person to get the diner open. I hope to see it open before the Cops and Kids show that happens September, I think 18th is when the Cops and Kids will be up there with their car show.
19th, yeah.
Other than that, I think just a couple comments on the funding we talked about this past year. We didn't meet our budget last year. Looking at, first of all, we planned for a full year of diner rental. We didn't get that diner rental last year. Second of all, we had another hangar that we rented out, and we're in litigation now trying to get that person out of that hangar. So there's another $4,500 we didn't get for that rental. So pretty much, I think for 2015 it was a wash. It was a learning experience for us. We all took a shot at putting a budget together. But I think for 2016 we've added those numbers in, as well as Ron's talked about the gas sales that we have, bringing people in to sell gas. That's been very good so far. The school's used a number of gallons of gas. We're up to somewhere around 1,000 gallons of gas per month at this point. So we're very optimistic that we're going to be positive in the black for 2016. And I think as we go forward, we're looking at this new combination administration building hangar. That hangar will generate approximately another $800 a month that we'll start to see in our budgets 2017 as we move forward. So we've also had some interest to our commission, some people that want to build private hangars, and they're waiting for all this to happen. People don't talk, they don't put it on the public, but as the sewer comes in, we already have water there. Now people can build a nice hangar for themselves, a private hangar, and they can put a bathroom in it, and they can hook into the town water and sewer. So that, again, makes revenue for the airport, makes revenue for the water department and the sewer department. So there are long-term plans. We do have a plan over here that's on the side, but it has, and we can probably show the councils later, but it has a number of new buildings and more T-hangars we have planned in the future. And it's all predicated on the funding that's coming in. We've basically been running the airport for the last 20 years on this $150,000 a year that comes from the FAA. So we've been kind of blessed with this tornado that we've gotten some other funds, and we've been able to rebuild some of our buildings and get some newer buildings in here. So this is a great opportunity to get some more funds in there for new buildings, get some new planes in. And as we move forward, we're building up the cash. It's an enterprise account. And our sole goal is to get the airport up to a point where the enterprise account will fund itself. So if we need to borrow another $500,000 in another 2 years to build some more T-hangars, we hope to have the enterprise account fund itself and be able to pay for those bonds as well. So I really think, looking forward, even maybe 2 years from now, that the airport will be able to fully fund this bond that the town manager mentioned, about $400,000, will be funded by the airport itself, and we won't have to go to the town council for funding in the future for these projects.
Thank you for that explanation. I really appreciate it. It can't be, I think, less than saying the word decrepit when it came to the basement in certain areas, and now it's polished and shiny, and the kitchen is just absolutely immaculate and fully functioning basement. That was a great improvement. And I guess I just want to finish again with saying you're looking at 352 plus the contingency makes it 400. Great. 247,000 has to go back if we don't move forward. $110,000, $150,000 is our investment in a $2.8 million project. That's not a huge investment for the community, and we're looking at potentially self-funding. Now, nothing's guaranteed in life, absolutely not. But with a commission and a director, a manager that's working their soul out here to make sure this community gets this airport running and to what they want to see for this for the future here in Southbridge. This is a win-win situation. The number seems large now, but it's not as large as it would appear because of the funding options. And again, 247, we have to give it back. 352, we keep it. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense not to go forward. And by the way, the previous council, when we did hear the numbers for either decommissioning, moving forward, doing all types of things, it was unanimously discussed that we needed to move forward. We needed to keep this as a potential economic engine. And now with the right economic director in place, with a town manager who's going to put her nose to the grindstone and make it go, this has got limitless possibilities. We really should, you know, consider this with complete open-mindedness. Thanks.
All set?
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none. Need a 2/3 roll call vote is required, so roll call, please.
Councilor Kraska?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
Councilor Estrada?
Yes.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Vecchia?
Yes.
Councilor Auclair?
Yes.
9 yes.
Motion meets the threshold, so it carries. Agenda item number 10. This is the third and final reading. It is a vote to ratify the amendment of Chapter 7, Section 7-406, owners, agents of property abutting sidewalks required to remove snow. And I'll read it once we have the motion in second.
So moved.
Second.
Again, and this is the third and final reading for this. No owner or agent of an No owner or agent of an owner of premises abutting upon brick, concrete, or other curbed or other finished sidewalk shall place or suffer to remain for more than 24 hours upon cessation of the snowstorm any snow upon such sidewalk. Snow must be cleared to a minimum width of 36 inches. Any packed snow or ice must be melted, covered with sand, sawdust, or ashes to prevent slipping. Such snow or ice may be removed from the sidewalk to the street, provided, however, that the same is windrowed at the gutter at the time of the removal. No owner or owner's agent of premises abutting on a public way shall allow any fire hydrant close to the property to be obstructed by snow. No owner or owner's agent shall place any snow or ice removed from private property on a public way. Each owner or agent of premises in which he or she does not reside must furnish a name, address, and telephone number of the person designated by the owner or agent to comply with the provisions of this bylaw. Said information shall be furnished to the Department of Public Works on or before November 1st of each year, and the Director of Public Works shall be notified immediately upon a change of designation. Violations of this bylaw, including failure to furnish information as required herein, shall be enforceable pursuant to the Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 40, Section 21D. And this is the change that has been made. The following schedule of penalties shall apply to violations of this section. For a first offense in any one calendar year, $100. For a second offense in any one calendar year, it's $150. For a third and any subsequent offense in any one calendar year, it is $200. If the owner, agent, or designee shall fail to properly clear the sidewalk and or otherwise neglects or violates the duties imposed by this bylaw, the town may, in addition to any other penalties available in law or in equity, perform or cause to be performed such duties at the expense of the owner. Such expense may be imposed as a municipal charges lien under the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, Section 58, and Section 5-109 of these bylaws, Article 8, Section 23. Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. After looking at the proposed amendment for the violation fee, it says in any one calendar year for all three offenses. Would it make more sense to put in a calendar year? Because any one calendar year, well, which calendar year are you talking about? So I'm looking at it like in a calendar year. I mean, it's just making that change. You're still doing the reading. It'll still go through if that change was to be made.
Are you asking for an opinion? Or you?
Suggesting that we change that for a first offense in a calendar year, $100. For a second offense in a calendar year, $150. For a third and any subsequent offense in any calendar year, $200. It closes that gap a little bit to me.
So to respond, I would say, my opinion anyways, that it is fair. I think it is fairly clear. I don't think it's an issue where there would be people confused by this. The other problem we have is any alterations would require, essentially, if it was to pass, to restart the entire reading process.
I didn't understand that from the last time when we were doing the bylaw reviews, because we made many amendments as long as we were reading them and they were passing.
All I can tell you is upon checking on that sort of issue in the past, I have been told and confirmed that once you alter what is being read, you have to now bring it forth again, because basically what you could do, in theory, is in the event that, say there were 2 counselors missing, and it's a contentious sort of thing, third reading, if those 2 aren't there, it becomes a whole other ball game, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you would have to, it essentially resets the clock.
Well, we got another month before the snow flies.
Hopefully. Hopefully 2, 3.
Okay, well, that was my suggestion. I just didn't want to leave it open because somebody, I don't know, I'm just trying to think outside the box. Somebody could interpret that as, well, which calendar year are you talking about? So that's all. Thank you.
Councilor Vecchia.
So, my own personal opinion, in taking 4 years of business law in college, it's fine the way it is because it's 1 calendar year. If you get rid of the word 1, it could be 3 or 4 calendar years. So it's fine the way it is, as far as I'm concerned.
All set?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none, roll call, please. Again, this is the 3rd and final reading.
Councillor Clements?
Yes.
Councillor Strata?
Yes.
Councillor Manna?
Yes.
Councillor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councillor Steves?
Yes.
Councillor Vandal?
Yes.
Councillor Vecchia?
Yes.
Councillor Eau Claire?
Yes.
Councillor Kraska?
Yes.
9 yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 11, vote to approve the zoning map amendment recommended by the Planning Board in their letter of July 10, 2015 to change certain properties on Assessor's Map 35, currently zoned retail business to light industrial. The properties are Map 35, lots 132, 133, 134, 135, 136, 137, 138, and 139.
So moved.
Second.
And this is the first reading, and I will just read this very briefly, this cover letter. In accordance with the provisions of Chapter 40A, Section 5, Mass General Laws, the Southbridge Planning Board held a public hearing on July 8, 2015 at 6:45 p.m. in the GAR Hall in the lower level of the Southbridge Town Hall. The public hearing was open following legal advertisement, posting, and mailings to the planning boards of surrounding towns, Central Massachusetts Regional Planning Commission, and the Massachusetts Department of Housing and Community Development. A quorum was reached. The purpose of the public hearing was to receive public comment and consider an amendment to the Southbridge zoning map as follows. Change the zoning on property at 55 Crane Street from retail business to light industrial, according to a request from Russell Ingman, who wishes to purchase the property and move his machine shop there. The proposed zoning change is shown on a map entitled 55 Crane Street Zoning Map Request 2015. Discussion was held and the public hearing was closed. A motion was made and seconded, and a unanimous vote in favor was taken to recommend the following: change the zoning on property at 55 Crane Street from retail business to light industrial in accordance with the request from Russell Ingman, but in addition include all of the properties from the corner of Hamilton and Crane Streets to and including 55 Crane Street, thus expanding the light industrial zone as required and avoiding the creation of a spot zone. The Planning Board members have carefully considered the requested zoning map change. They found that adopting the zoning request will allow a use that is appropriate for the Crane Street neighborhood. It will not create any harm to the neighborhood or disturb existing uses, and it will bring a small new industry into Southbridge. They acknowledge that to make the change for just the 55 Crane Street property would create a spot zone, which is not allowed. There are 9 properties from the beginning of the street to and including the 55 Crane Street property. With the exception of 55 Crane Street, the properties all have their front facades on Hamilton Street and the rear facades on Crane Street. Therefore, it is not advisable to divide the properties into 2 zones. The board also found that changing the zoning on all 9 of the properties to light industrial makes sense because the uses allowed in both zones are very similar, but there is generally more flexibility of uses in a light industrial zone. The exception to this is that new housing in light industrial zones requires a special permit. However, the existing residential use in the buildings is protected, and the requirement of a special permit for new residential use will be beneficial to the town and to the abutters because the area is so congested. Therefore, the planning board recommends adoption of the zoning map amendment found on the attached map with properties from the Flatiron Building all the way to and including the building at 55 Crane Street to be changed to light industrial, and that is coming from David Pear, the chairman of the Southbridge Planning Board. Any questions, comments, concerns? Okay, Councilor Steves.
I don't know if this is something that the town, I don't see anybody from the planning board here. I don't know if you can answer this, Councilor Manna. Were there any public comments? Because they don't cite any public comments, and if so, what were they?
I was not at the planning board meeting that this letter refers to, and the planning and development subcommittee meeting, I was not there because I was ill.
Right, you said that.
Councilor Carrasco, if you could.
Either way, the manager has indicated he was at this meeting.
I was at the meeting. I think one other person spoke briefly in favor other than the owner. I mean, the owner talked about the property and what he was doing, but I think there was one other gentleman that said it was a good idea, but it was as short and quick as that. So there was no one that objected to it whatsoever. There was some issues brought up as to the noise in the area, and it was basically they came to the decision that it really wouldn't create any new noise, and he would be working within the noise ordinances of the town.
All set? Any other questions or comments, concerns? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Councilor Estrada?
This is the first reading, yep.
Yes.
We'd take it just as a precaution, formality, so
yes.
Thank you.
Councilor Manna?
Yes.
Councilor Moriarty?
Yes.
Councilor Steves?
Yes.
Councilor Vandal?
Yes.
Councilor Vecchia?
Yes.
Councilor Eau Claire?
Yes.
Councilor Carrasco?
Yes.
Councilor Clements?
Yes.
9 yes.
Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 12, Councilors Forum, and we will begin with Councilor Eau Claire.
Thank you. I just wanted to welcome our new town manager and say thank you. I know that you've already really kind of hit the ground running, and I know that we all appreciate that. Looking forward to working with you. The other thing, I have a question, I think, for maybe the chairman. So the update on 80 Marcy Street didn't happen tonight. Is that going to be rescheduled?
I know that just briefly right before the meeting, and I'm not sure if there was confusion in the office, the manager had indicated that there is a meeting upcoming. I think that, I'm assuming there might have been confusion as to whether or not that was supposed to be here, but my understanding was supposed to be here. But
I just received a call from one of the major players in this project, and he said he was looking forward to meeting with me. I know he was scheduled a meeting through Avant to meet with me to bring me up to speed on the project. All I can tell you is he said he was very excited to actually start moving on it and stuff, but I can't give any details until after that meeting as to what his plans are and what the timeline. Obviously, when I talk to him, I'm going to be talking about timeline. When, what are you going to do, what's your plan, do you have the resources to do it? I'll have more information to you after that meeting.
Okay. Look forward to the update. Thank you. That's
and
all.
hopefully that's one of your own meetings that you're having in your office, presumably, but hopefully we're able to get some sort of either report back or the gentleman to come and make the presentation himself.
Yep. I'd be more than happy to request him to come and actually do a presentation if you'd like.
Great. Thank you.
All set?
All set. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Councilor Clements.
Thank you. Just a couple things. It is school time. Kids are coming back out. They're going to be out on the streets soon, so just asking you to all be mindful of that. Great job on the new line painting that the DPW did. Nice to see all those sidewalks taken care of. And perhaps, though, we could have the police look into the intersection on Main where nobody seems to want to stop for the light at the new Cumberland. Well, the light's been there forever, but I have personally been at both on the one side of Goddard Street and watch people blow through the light as I had luckily I didn't have a foot to push forward in terms of the green light, but literally see somebody, and then I point to the light and the person was not very nice to me. But then today, I was on the other side, I was on Hamilton Street, and I watched somebody, and the crosswalk went, nice, there's a cross light there, there's a nice new crosswalk, nice lady crossing, and somebody blew through. I mean, the light, she clearly had the white crosswalk, and it didn't stop the person coming up Main Street, which I was kind of shocked. Usually you get it on the coming down. Maybe we need to do some enforcement there. Some real serious fine enforcement there and get people to realize. Because that little sign that's on the post to the right, it says, do not block intersection, and it's very small. There's got to be some other something, maybe flashing something there. It's quite
a
dangerous.
few tickets and people will get the message really quick. It spreads really fast. So I'll talk to Sean about it and we see what we can do.
Because it's gotten worse. Shane? Good try. Yeah, talk to Sean. And I would like to say, I mean, I don't know if someone was going to report on it, but the Cops and Kids came up. They've ended their newest season. But Saturday, September 19th, in case no one else is saying it, 8 to 4 is their runway car show up at the airport. And hopefully we'll have a diner, too, for more food. But just as a reminder, it's an all-day event. If you want to participate, maybe you want to be a sponsor, perhaps you want to be a vendor and have a booth there and sell something, or you want to enter a car or just take part, you just want to attend. It's a $5 admission. There's going to be lots of great things between what the cars have to offer, but also there'll be entertainment and food and just great camaraderie. It's only $5, and children 10 and under are free. So if you're interested in being a sponsor, contributing to this great event for the kids of our community, you can get in touch with Deputy Chief Dingy, and they also have a Facebook site, so you can go into their Facebook site or their website itself directly, and I'm sure all the information is on there with the sponsor forms and such. So get out there, support the community, support this wonderful, I'm going to say it's not a project, it's really an ongoing effort to do good for the children, the youth of our community. It would be great to have a Boys and Girls Club also, but right now we have this, and we need to keep supporting what we do here with this program as well. So I encourage that. And I would just like to, earlier a person made a comment and that our legal battle is not over. I hope it's over, because I applaud Councilor Vecchia for asking for the costs, and so far the one piece of paper we got, that one litigation situation as to whether our interim manager was a manager or not, even though he was free to us too for the last month, is over $5,000 so far. Just that one invoice we've seen. And that's disheartening, because we talk about nickeling and diming. You add up a few more, if it's not over, we'll be over at 10, 20, 30,000, 50,000. Legal fees can rise, as we all know, so I hope it's over. I don't know if anybody has any information on that, but thanks for bringing that forward.
We'll get to it.
I'm set, thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Vandal.
I'm all set this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Estrada.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. No comment tonight. Only one more time, Mr. Sangangelo, welcome. Welcome aboard. Only remember, I want to see the all citizen. You made a difference. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Steves.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of quick things. First of all, just a last-minute reminder that Wednesday is the Southbridge Got Talent tryouts, the first one. That's over at the Polish Club across from Big Bunny. August 26th at 6 to 9 p.m. There's also a second round of tryouts August 30th from 2 to 5 p.m., also at the Polish Club. And the talent show itself is going to be at the Middle High School up on Torrey Road on October 3rd. So put that in your calendar. We're looking for all kinds of artistic and creative type people to get out there and show their stuff on stage. And don't be afraid if you think a little stage fright is okay, but get up there and try it. And we'll be gentle, more or less. Also, I was wondering if, I see Heather is still out here, a couple of quick questions for you, if possible. Do you have any update on the road work? I know you mentioned that you were planning on doing Clements Hill Road and looking at possibly trying to figure out some way to do some work on South Street and the Dresser Street culvert. And also, do you have any update on the PCB cleanups at the DPW site?
Both on the road work, we will be attempting to put a bid together. I'm hoping to get some assistance in preparing that, because obviously that takes some time. We still have a little time, but we're getting shorter and shorter, so I definitely need some assistance quicker. The quicker, the better. On the PCB cleanup, we have had some correspondence in the last 6 months with our, with the consulting firm that does the cleanup work for us, not work really, but the planning for us. And everything is at the EPA right now. Mass DEP has sent their comments to EPA, and EPA is finalizing their comments. They've asked for some additional information for some of the different closure options, but that's where it stands right now with EPA.
Any idea of what their time frame is to tell us what's
I have
going
no
on?
idea what their time frame is.
Because I know that's been like a
their
long
time frame is very long.
Okay, thanks.
What's that? Councilor Vecchia.
To begin with, today, all of you have seen a few emails in reference to legal fees. And there's 2 bills that I'd like the whole council to get. The one with the case, the ethics case, and also the other case that Merrick.
We provided the one to you today already.
Yeah, but you just told me the summary. She gave me the total, $5,850. I like it broken down in detail.
We are going to give that to you as well.
Okay. My second thing is, I noticed Karen Hanois is in the audience. Am I correct, Karen, by saying you give us quarterly reports on the expenses, how much money we're spending? Okay. So that means it'll be July, August, and September, and October we'll get the report. She does a fantastic, that's correct, right? All right, she does a fantastic job on that. Now, one other thing. If we're not going to be dependent on Casella anymore, we should start thinking about cutting the budget now, not for next year. And we'll talk about it, okay? If we're not going to go through with that Casella vote, okay? And I just think that we should use due diligence and start cutting now. That's my own personal opinion. Okay. Thank you.
All set. Councilor Manna.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, through you. I do have a few things tonight. First of all, I'd like to welcome Mr. Angelo.
Thank you.
Your first night here. Not your first day, your first night officially sitting in that chair. Welcome. It is an early night, this meeting tonight, so just so you know, we have had longer. Second, I just want to bring up something that a citizen brought to my attention. I'm directing this to the council. Council Moriarty, you had mentioned that about the interest letters for the committees, for the school committee and the assessors. Now, I know that it's in the candidate who puts their interest letter forward. It's in, they want to get, elected. So they try to make the best possible case, which any voter does. I mean, I'm sorry, any candidate would, even if you're up for election. And I admire that. I had someone that was interested in putting in a letter, and he talked to a few people, and I'm not going to say where or anything, but that person told me that, it's already a done deal. Now, I hope that's not the case because, first of all, we're not supposed to be talking about how we're going to vote and how the vote is going to go. And second, just hearing things like that, it discourages other people for future, to come forward and put their names in. So I just hope that's not the case, and I just want to bring that up. And also another citizen brought up tonight in regards to the leachate, okay, and the professor in the letter. I just want to put it out there as clearly as possible because I put it out there before. The professor went off of the permit and the information I sent him, not just willy-nilly. So I'm going to leave it at that. And then third, I also had another citizen get in touch with me in regards to our sewer treatment plant, and that's when all the leachate and everything was going on. And they asked me if we ever looked at the Millbury sewer plant. The Millbury sewer plant out in Blackstone Valley, out in Millbury, up by where the shopping centers are. And I never contacted anybody in Millbury to see how they're processing one, because that's where we ship our leachate, I believe. And, you know, and he, you know, I answered him honestly, no, I hadn't thought of it. And I thought it was a good idea to get in touch with somebody out there at the Millbury sewer treatment plant. I haven't done so yet, but I am going to do it. I'm going to contact somebody out there to see if I can get a tour. And I'll let the other counselors know if you want to go with me, just to get a sense of what they do with their leachate, the processing, and everything. Because it's a really good idea, I think, for us to have the knowledge of the process. You know, if we can, I've already walked the sewer plant down here. I'll do it again. I think I have done it again. I've done it twice. I'll do it again if I have to. But to get a sense of another community's sewer plant, and just to have, you know, a better knowledge of what we're talking about, I guess. It's always good. And so I'm going to be making that, I'm going to be reaching out to that sewer department and try to set something up to do a tour. And I'll let everyone know, and if anybody wants to join me, they're more than welcome to. And yes, school is starting Wednesday for a lot of children, so just keep an eye out for the kids that have to walk. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councilor Carrasco.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have a few things. First of all, I want to thank the Jacob Edwards Library and all their summer program that they put on for the kids this year. I was able to participate with my children, and I can tell you my children had a great time, so I just want to thank the staff over there for putting on a great summer program. Another thing that I want to speaking about children, again, several councilors have mentioned already. I want to wish best wishes to all the students of Southbridge, whether they're attending Southbridge Public Schools or going somewhere else. I wish them the best. To our local departments, to our educators, to our administrators, good luck, work hard. But above all, my message goes out to the parents. Because if the parents are not involved in children's education, we can't expect educators to be able to wave the magic wand and do the thing for the children. Parents need to be involved. Guardians need to be involved. So the children really need parent involvement. So I urge parents to get involved in their children's education above all. Because if they don't get involved, don't blame the systems, don't blame the educators, don't blame administrators, don't blame the district, because it really goes down to the parents. So I just, again, that's my message in regards to school. Also, I have, there's a foundation that was from a young lady here in Southbridge that has been started. It's the Dance to Live Foundation. It is a foundation that deals with she is a young lady who suffered depression as a young girl and dealt with even suicidal thoughts, suicidal ideation. And she was able to find relief in dance. So after graduating high school, she went on and she started a foundation right here in Southbridge. It's called the Dance to Live Foundation. And every year they do a green carpet affair, and it's a scholarship fundraiser where they're giving out a scholarship to a local student, whether that they're suffering from depression or has any kind of mental illness that has detained their ability to move forward. So they are having their 4th annual green carpet affair on October 3rd, 2015. There is a cost. And it's going to be at Mechanics Hall in Worcester, Mass. And again, it is to take the steps and help fight teen depression. So all the proceeds of the event raise awareness and also provide for the scholarship. So if you're interested, you can see myself to provide, to go to this event. Again, it's a local foundation, nonprofit organization that's trying to reach out to the youth of our community in a different manner. I just want to bring that up. In regards to a Boys and Girls Club, I know Mr. Bassett is very passionate and very concerned about our youth in our community. And I think if there's not a counselor up here that's not concerned, it would be very, to me, it would be very hard to believe. But I think we are all very concerned in regards to the youth of our town. And in regards to trying just to build the Boys and Girls Club, I think we have to look at the logistical process of how we can get a Boys and Girls Club to Southbridge, because I know many years ago there was a huge initiative. There was money raised, there was money put aside for a Boys and Girls Club in Southbridge before the Dudley Webster Boys and Girls Club was built. Now that Webster Dudley has a Boys and Girls Club, I'm not sure in regards to the logistics process on how to bring one into Southbridge. Do we need something year-round, full-time? Yes, but also there is a lot of nonprofit organizations out there that are doing work year-round. The local YMCA is doing work. There's different types of nonprofit organizations like Aspida, Dance to Live Foundation that are doing the work on a yearly basis to try to get our children off the street and get involved. I think one of the biggest needs that I think as a community is that we need to put these resources together and have, whether it be an electronic board or a calendar of events on our website, on our cable access, of showing all these different types of programs, because again, a lot of it is lack of knowledge. People don't know that there's a lot of free programs for children, for youth. I know there's a lot of always the big talk of our program of the Cops and Kids as a town, but again, that's only a seasonal program. So we have to just make people more aware in regards to the different programming that is out there. And, you know, I always like challenges, so I want to bring out a challenge a challenge of unity to my 9 counselors and my town manager, and also the town departments and department heads. I know I would like to do a town-wide ice bucket challenge for ALS right here on the town council steps. I would love to do that as a community. Bring it on. Let's get out there. Let's do the ice bucket challenge, where each individual that participates would be responsible for the donation. But I think if you followed the news, due to this challenge, there has been significant progress in some research and some things. So I challenge, and I would love to do it as a unified front, whether it's school department, town employees, let's do it together. I know last year a lot of people did it individually, and I know Ms. Manna took my challenge last year. But now I do it as a full challenge to our town-wide. And the second challenge of the night goes, because I will be at the Cops and Kids car show. I had the distinct pleasure of last year going to the dunk tank and raising the most money from all of our counselors. I beat out Councilor Moriarty by 100 to 1 probably.
Somebody has a bigger mouth.
Absolutely. But this year I would like to challenge 2 people that are heavily involved in the Cops and Kids program. I would like to challenge personally, publicly, on this dais, Councilor Clements and Councilor Manna to go to the dunk tank booth with me on September 19 for the car show. For the, I think we can raise some serious money if we're able to do that. And that's all I got for tonight.
Can I respond to that challenge? Because it's unfortunate. Any place, any time except the 19th, because I'm away on a business trip. So you want to put up that booth and do it another time, I'm ready. Right. Or I can always put my money where my mouth is too, right? And I could do a matching donation to everybody who dunks you.
We'll do both.
Yeah, now you're here. You want to.
Absolutely, we'll do
But
both.
I can't be there on the 19th.
That's
so
fine. Well, I'll talk
get
to.
the dunk take out.
I'll talk to.
Can we do a dunk take for Christmas?
But no,
I'll be away.
Ice bucket challenge at the Santa at the tree leg.
Well,
I think that sounds like a winning idea.
I would do it. But again, I think there's a lot of.
I'm sorry.
So no, absolutely, I'll do both.
Come up with something else.
Absolutely.
I'll tell you what, Counselor, if I am available, I will check with family. If I'm available for the 19th, I'll take your offer to join you in the dunk tank, though, and raise some money.
Absolutely, thank you.
You're going to sit with him in the dunk tank?
No, he's not sitting
Not with him, no.
It's a very narrow board.
I would, seriously save up a lot of money to dunk you. Just go up and dunk you. I think that's what I did to you last year, Councilor Carrasco. But I accept your challenge, even though I don't really love that dirty water. I do
It's
accept your
Southbridge
challenge.
water. We got the best water.
This is brown water. Thank you very much. It's clean, they say, but it's brown.
No leachate, promise.
Also, I accept you for the ALS challenge. I would be more than happy to do that. My work schedule allows me to do it anytime during the week after 4, and I'm hoping that you do it before the cold weather gets here.
Let's get it done.
Farmer's Almanac said it's going to be a hard winter, so I'm assuming it's going to start soon.
Absolutely, that's all I got tonight.
Did you get a chance, or you're speaking those two, please?
I can, but I usually don't.
Okay, I was just curious.
I'll say this then, just, the ice bucket challenge, I know Councilor Carrasco did it, Councilor Manna did it, Councilor Estrada I saw do it, Councilor Peliquin did it, as well as myself. I'm sorry?
I don't remember seeing that.
I think it was on Facebook.
Oh, my
That's
God.
how
I
it
don't do
happened.
Facebook.
It was on Facebook.
But you've received one in person tonight, so.
Yes.
I'm
ready.
I'm all for that, and we can,
I'm ready to steer.
I'll leave it through the manager's office to try and coordinate schedules and find a time that works for department heads and employees, and I'm sure Mr.
Thursday night
Montigny will
sounds
be
good.
out there to videotape it and so forth. Maybe he can have his quadcopter film that.
Yeah, we can have a volunteer. I would like him to participate in the bucket challenge.
But other than that, I just wanted to echo that, again, yes, school is starting this week, and be alert and pay attention for the kids who are walking, because we do have a lot of walkers in town, especially now with the neighborhood schools at the elementary levels. And I'll just echo what Councilor Carrasco said as far as being involved for your kids as an educator, as difficult as what are sometimes referred to as helicopter parents can be, because they're always hovering around the kids and always want to know, within 30 seconds how they did on a test. I will take that any day over the absentee parent who doesn't show up for anything and sends their kid to school in dirty clothes and doesn't seem to give a lick. So I believe we have a motion on the floor to adjourn from Councilor Vecchia.
Second.
Excuse me, discussion of the next meeting?
Yeah. Would be Monday, September 14th, right here. Thank you. All those in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you.